I would point out once again that the liens are specifically set out in the regulations. It is a fact. That is exactly how, if you don't pay, you've got 5 years in installment, and they're welcome to change that, but that is the way it is now. That is the way it is now.
Just a quick comment on that. During the meeting, a couple times we've heard from the mayor and from yourself about the intent has never been to force people on connection. But here we've just heard, I was not at the meeting, so this is secondhand, but I've heard from a couple people here that you did say, you used the term, regardless what it was, that we would put a lien on it. That means you have thought about that. You at least thought about forcing people on, and this is an option that we would use to help them out. So again, earlier in the meeting, both you guys said that that was never an intent here, but again, now you've basically kind of stepped on those words and said it has been talked about. So, and this is the type of issues that people are concerned about, is because you have on the books a law that allows you to do something, and what's being said is that's not your intent, and that may very well be the case, but that is not what's being portrayed or put forth to the people. The people don't feel the reassurances being said fulfill that. And I mean, it behooves me to think that if with that being the case, you guys that should be something you should be working on right away to show the community that that's how we think we're going to change the ordinance to it immediately, so that we don't put that perception out there. But that is what the perception you're putting out to people. That's why a lot of people are upset.
All right, thank you. So once again, so in that conversation, in that meeting, it was to address what the current ordinance states. And part of that was, okay, here's this option, here's that option, but at that meeting, we asked the governing body, please look at it, look at the whole ordinance, let's see what the issues are, and let's reword it. So, I do understand what you're saying.
I'm
but
just saying it's perception. That's
right, and once again, it's how do other, we're looking into how do other communities deal with these issues, how do they deal with the connections, and moving forward, I don't believe the governing body is going to try and do a forced connection for the residents. I mean, you had
change that.
right. You had Mr.
Then
Hill
people
state that
would be able to see that that's actions speak louder than words.
Correct. But before the actions can be taken, you have to have conversations about it to make the decisions.
Can I address that?
Yes.
So on that particular note, as far as actions speak louder than words and the public being, concerned, there's also been concern about the amount of money that was spent on the planning, which I've heard 400,000, I've heard 700,000, and one of the things that I've always requested at every single meeting is to see or to show the public also the maps and the build out of what is being planned. And so even if some of us don't want that to happen, or that intention may not have been there when the ordinance was approved, there are now plans for that to occur that the town paid for. So can you address that part? And do we have any plans that we can look at?
So there's a map on the old community center. It'll be brought up here. There's a map at the town hall. We'll have those as well. Looks like Councilor Abraham has copies of them as well. So there are maps, and with respect to the funding, the town used the legislative appropriations, approximately $660,000 to design out the sewer line. So these are essentially planned shovel-ready projects. Now, whether or not will the town build out the entire sewer system, it's probably not likely. Not at least not with the foreseeable future. I mean, these are just plans to have. So, eventually that plant is going to fail. We're going to design a new plant. Hopefully it'll be like something like that nice Aeromod that was designed for us. But, just so we have plans, we have construction projects on the book. I mean, the next round is going to be up Route 66. I mean, that one's 100% designed out. There's other areas where we're designing out, but the intent was to have the entire service area of the system planned and designed out. So if and when funding became available, or the governing body saw fit to start addressing and trying to put sewer in these areas, we have the plan, we have something ready to go.
I have a question. So you said that you hadn't seen these plans? Did you ask to see them?
No, yes.
Why weren't they provided?
They have been provided.
Well, we finally did get the map on the community center wall. I haven't seen anything like that, and, you know, but my understanding is that that was already, the RFP had already gone out and everything. I mean, it wasn't a decision that I made, I guess, I could say,
Well,
but
we
I
made a
don't.
decision before you got there, so.
Well, so with respect, so the RFP for the design? Yeah, the design, that was issued in November of 2016. You know, the preliminary plan set, you know, that took a while. The final plans were finally, actually, we're still working on final, but we've got the 60% build out of the entire system. That's where the area map came from. But we have the full sets available of the 60%. They're on, actually, I believe they're on the website as well.
Hi, group. My name is John Carpenter. My wife and I have been residents of Edgewood for about 10 years. And Brad, I think that's an excellent idea not to run for public office. If I ever run for public office, please tell me how crazy I would be to do so. And council, I think you've got an impossible job ahead of you. Staff, I think you've got an impossible job. John, I think you've done a great job so far. Basically, what I see a situation, and one of the things that I'm chagrined about in decisions that governments have tended to make over the last several years, is that many decisions have been made relative to either fear or anger. And I think basically there is a major issue or a major problem that you guys are confronting relative to that sewer project. And basically what apparently one of the solutions was the EPCOR solution. And Tom, like what you were saying is, hey, I'd like to see some more options being reviewed, and I would too. And I guess what I hear the group saying is that, hey, we would like more openness, we would like more information relative to this very difficult problem that we're facing, that the administration is facing, that the council is facing. And I would tend to agree with that. Congress, other governments have tended to appoint commissions, for example, maybe to deal with problems. I'm not saying this works. I'm not a member of the town council, so I don't have the authority to say that. But look at options, council. Work with the mayor. Mayor, work with on these particular problems. And guys, we need to come to council meetings, and we need to support the council. We need to support the mayor. And this anger needs to be generated to solving these problems that Edgewood has. And I think you guys have an impossible task. We need to support you, and we need to get these problems worked out. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
So I think that you had very good comments about information and being, open. And to that end, it's something that I've also requested as well, that really, and Mayor, I don't want to put you completely on the spot, but I'm going to give you the opportunity to address the issue of conflicts of interest. And I think a lot of people in the community, there's kind of rumors going around and a lot of talk, and some of that anger is probably coming from that topic itself. And so I just wanted to give you the chance to speak to that.
Nothing much to speak about. You guys, I know that, what is it called, that East Mountain 411, that's just nothing but lies. The property is where it is. They've been cutting us up with roads and electric lines and sewer lines all my life. I don't know what to tell you about it. I mean, it's where it is. It's not anything, I'm out there trying to hustle anything. You have to grow up the area. And I said in my campaign that I thought we ought to push development along I-40 over there where people could see it. You build that up, it makes it easier for other to come around there. In that time, we've had those petitions and that. Tom Torres signed those petitions, Raymond Dennis signed them, Jeremiah Turner, everybody over there, 100%. I mean, that's something the community sought. And, you know, to have all these ones out there, well, I hear this, I hear that, they're hearing crap. There's nothing like that. I mean, you can conjecture and conflate all day long. You can also come into the office and ask me. Make an arrangement to come in and see me and ask me this stuff. I mean, I'm not hiding anything. Conflicts of interest, you know, do I got a conflict when I get out of bed in the morning? I mean, how far do you want to take stuff? I don't think I've got a big conflict. Brad?
John, I appreciate what you say, absolutely, but I want to remind you that you were the most vocal person to come into a council meeting and accuse me of the same thing, and without any evidence of that.
I did have evidence.
Oh, you have evidence that I own property?
No, when I
On
brought that
Eagle Ranch
in,
Road?
when I brought that in, I had evidence of a conflict.
You did not.
Well,
You did not.
I did.
Well, see, you can make, okay, well, then we can all just make evidence up, is what you're saying.
No, I had evidence.
I disagree with that. I deny that assertion 100%.
And that's what happened that night.
I would like to have the floor if possible when you're done. Come and take this opportunity to talk to all of you because I'm in my second term as council. I was a counselor under Mayor Hill. I'm a counselor under Mayor Bassett. I know some decisions we made, and we made decisions to create mandatory hookup for what we assumed would be new development. You know, we were hoping for new development. I can tell you when I saw this map, I was appalled. This was never my intent for residential connection to connect all of the citizens in this particular area. I do agree, we had agreed to focus on Church Road so we could get it paved. I do not recall when Cactus and Main became part of that project. I was at the council meeting and 3 of us voted to make Route 66 the priority. I now saw another vote that the first thing they're going to pave is Church, Cactus, and Main. So I'm very confused. If I'm on the governing body, I can only say that the people are confused. How long have I been asking you to have town hall meetings to discuss this particular thing? How long has it taken to get some? We have to be open and honest. We have made mistakes in the past, but that doesn't mean we can say, oh, we can do this again because they made a mistake in the past. We have to get better. We have to have these people trust us. I also am never running for office again. This has been a very difficult term. And so I have no political ambitions anymore. I want to be a citizen. But I want to be a citizen who's respected and trusted and listened to. And so those are the things that I hope comes out of this meeting tonight. Thank you.
Well, I think that's what we've done here. I mean, yes, sir.
Just to clarify, just to make clear,
your ordinance is law or not law?
It's law.
Your ordinance of mandating us to go on the sewer system is law, along with the lien is law. And what you said here, as far as, oh, we don't mean it, your will probably never enforce it, is not law. Is that correct? It is not law. What you said, we will not enforce it, that is not law.
The lien issue, there is nowhere in the ordinance where it specifies liens. With respect to the ordinance being law enforcing connections, that's only if and when a sewer line is put in there within 150, actually it is written in there. Once the sewer line is available in your area, you have, the way the forced connection part reads, you've got 6 months to connect if your property, your dwelling is 150 feet from the line.
What part of the property?
Not the property, the dwelling. So if your home is more further than 150 feet away, the way the current ordinance is written, you do not have to connect.
Your home or your collection point or whatever I should call it in your home.
Counselor Abraham, I am curious why you say you were appalled, and what are those maps that you have there?
These are the maps of the service area that was designed with the money from the state capital improvement money. This is money that could have been spent improving our plant, which I believe should have been addressed before collection lines. I think we need to make sure we have a plant that can handle everything and is up to all the requirements that have been suggested that we upgrade before we connect anything. This is the collection line that is currently going to be out for bid, part of it. So these are the lines if anybody wants to look at them.
Thank you.
May I say something?
Do you have a screen? Do you have a screen?
It's not functional.
Question, right here, question.
Right there in front of you.
Right here.
I'm Sherry Smiley, and I've had a very difficult year because about the time, well, I'm hot.
Oh, yeah, you're right under the microphone.
Oh, okay. I probably can speak loud enough without the microphone, but what I need to let you know is that I wasn't even notified that we were going to be annexed. So that goes right back to at least almost a year ago, and I was in Minnesota when my mother was passing away. And I'm telling you, I think that is, and all of my neighbors on my street were never notified as well. I'm not happy about that. And now with this new event coming up, I can tell you that I am not happy at all that we are maybe going to be pushed into something that is going to raise our taxes. We did not come to this area to be someone other than what Edgewood was. There wasn't even a grocery store here when we came 20 years ago. We are doing fine. We did lose our well, but we are doing fine with having some water hauled in and with our water collection. But that's why we came here, is because it was quiet and we didn't have this extraordinary tax base that we're going to have to fund. But mostly, I am very unhappy that we never got notified that we were going to be annexed. I think the communication needs to improve tremendously. Whether we are put on an email list, I didn't even know about this meeting. I had to find out from Entranosa Water when I went to call and ask about maybe getting on their system. And so the information is not getting put out to people in the community that are even annexed now to the town of Edgewood. And I don't know what we can do to, that's why we're in a remote area, is because that's what we want to be, but we do want to have some information about what's happening that will affect our tax base and what's going on in the community. This is not okay.
So while I'm asking questions, one of the questions that came to me that I think was brought up a little bit earlier is, what would the vision be for, if EPCOR was condemned? Would it would be the entire system, not just within this town limits, is that correct? Including Torrance County? And then what about the issue of fairness or taxes for the other citizens who have wells or on Entrinosa to be bearing the cost of EPCOR? Can you address that?
Well, once again, Counselor, I mean, EPCOR, the decision to acquire EPCOR has not been made yet.
No, the vision.
But once, you know, okay, so we're saying we did acquire the system. If we acquired the system, well, I don't know how people on Entrinosa or Wells would be paying for it. I mean, it would be an enterprise fund basically funding itself. I don't think the governing body, I mean, like, once again, you're the counselor, I just work and support you guys. I don't think that that you guys would want to impose or do taxes or something to pay for the system. That's why I was saying I don't.
The concern was about debt to purchase.
Well, that's why I said, so you'd have to, that's why you need the appraisal, that's why you need that information to make that decision of, can we acquire it? Because, once again, you guys are the elected officials, I just kind of support you, but if it came down to it, to a bond issuance or something, I don't foresee any one of you voting to take the system. I foresee it being based upon net system revenue. And then you basically go out, for whatever the amount is, you take some,
So you're saying the revenue would pay off the debt?
Correct. And that's why you need to know what it's worth, what it brings in, what it spends, before you can even make that determination.
Give it to Eugene.
Everybody kind of knows me a little bit, working on safety issues and things like that. My name is Eugene Barella. My address is 10.0.0.70. I cracked myself up. John understands that. I live in cyberspace. Okay? I'm a professional information assurance officer. I work, and I have worked at the DHS level. Today I want to take everybody back to the day of 9/11. On that morning, at 7:15 in the morning, I was approached by armed security forces to come help them close down and get the people off of Kirtland Air Force Base. Since then, I've dug into a lot of different activities and things like that. After 9/11, DHS, our federal government down to the state level, has determined basically what our threats are. And basically our threats are that of adversaries would like to change the way we live. They want to destabilize the trust we have in government. They don't need any help here. This is serious stuff, okay? Okay. The vulnerabilities that are out there and that I've been aware, my responsibility in cyberspace with government-funded assets. A paperclip in your office belongs to the government. You have the responsibility to safeguard that. If you don't have a lock on the door, you're responsible. Loss of life, loss of property. My local government, I must remind you, you took an oath. You took an oath to protect me. I do not feel safe. Department of Homeland Security has designated critical infrastructure to protect at all costs. Water, roads, gas. An attack on that infrastructure will destroy our economy, will make life really miserable. There are safeguards that you've taken an oath. Let's take it to the local level to see what I've seen. I've been approaching Edgewood, Bernalillo County, Santa Fe County, the state. The reason I do this is I live here. I retired, and all I wanted to do was come home and ride my tractor. I was done. 10 years, 4 years in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Germany. My goal was nobody was going to hurt the warfighter. The vulnerabilities, it took us a long time, and this is a killer in this environment. The vulnerabilities that we determined that were our top priority were not the outsiders, not the insiders. Where the problems were with administration. People with the ability to make change. That's you guys. Things are not enforced. Things are not compliant. I asked House District 22 candidate to research the New Mexico Hazard Mitigation Act. You know all about it. Where do we stand on that, sir? On February the 21st, you answered that the town of Edgewood has taken no action towards that. It's fine. You said it. That shows me indifference. Indifference. Indifference leads to negligence. When you're talking about government-owned assets, that's a big problem. It's a big problem. Okay. The town of Edgewood handles PII data on their network. That's got a classification. PII is personal identification information. Social security numbers, bank numbers, things like that, in which our adversary can connect to take over their life. You've heard about that. I'll ask a question. When you log on to a Edgewood computer, are there 3 boxes or 2 boxes? Or is there a box? What that tells me is this network is not protected by the Active Directory domain structure, which restricts, is it 2 boxes? Then okay, good. That follow, good.
And PII is not on the town's network. And by the way, the police department does have an emergency preparedness plan.
Where is it? Well, okay. That's hazard. I agree. Oh, that's great. I feel better. okay? Let's get into it then. Let's get into this, to what they think of us. How are we doing on that fire truck? Right. To have a 4-story hotel, I was with you. And you were worried about that last summer. And you said, and we were talking about some stuff, and you said, I got to find a fire truck. Because the hotel hadn't opened yet. Okay, so that you need a ladder truck. But you can write an exception to that, as long as it's signed off on, they're responsible, okay? And we also have some other new buildings, which we don't have the apparatus, because I've talked to the firefighters, and they said they would do their best. I expect those guys. I'm losing the crowd here, so we'll get away from hazards to wastewater, water delivery, critical infrastructure, and the internet. Okay, the EPA, TSA has jurisdiction over the water, wastewater, and gas. You can look it up, John. Yep. Transportation Security Administration has jurisdiction or authority over the pipelines in the United States. It's so much to figure out. Look up NIST 800. Yeah, you've read it all. Boy, you're good. What revision? Is it deployed? Let me ask you, is it deployed at the wastewater plant?
I can't answer you because I don't know.
Okay, but you should. You should. You took an oath to protect me, sir. Take those self-interests aside. You took an oath. You took an oath. You took an oath. Conflicting answers on my question about the domain. Now let's go to the wastewater plant. Carries what they call ICS classification. In other words, it's interconnected, but because it controls all the endpoints, there's computers inside with configurations, different things like that manage our plants, okay? And the water plant. What I'm getting at, particularly with EPCOR's resources, because I asked Mr. Torres the same question on a visit. Where's your contingency plan? That binder was gold to my eyes. He had it secured. He had it behind doors. I opened it up and I saw EPCOR's response to what to do in the case of a terrorist attack. Do you know, you can't condemn the internet. That's new stuff. That's our business. That's federal. You cannot condemn the internet. And all of this is internet connected, sir. I've got your back. I'm trying to help here. Okay. There's not enough money. And it's what the attorneys are going to appreciate because they want to keep the ball in play. In my world, when I'm investigating a failure, property loss, anything that got an incident, one's and O's do not lie. Ones and O's do not lie. That means take the human element out, we respond to that, and we take you down. Period. We're going to protect the property of the United States. Then the lawyers can deal with you. We're in a space that, whatever. What I'm pleading for, and I wish I had a screen here because I can back all this stuff up. What I'm pleading for, sir, and counsel, is to, when I would run into problems with military or wherever, and I saw problems, I took the option to empower instead of take down, because we needed to keep going. We needed to keep breathing. We needed to prosper. Okay? So I choose to empower. EPCOR has a robust security system. They handle gas, water in Phoenix, Arizona. All of that technology is brought down to the Edgewood office over the internet. It's already there. Your security, our security is already there. I implore not to waste and risk any of our property losses. The things are out there, the internet's changing, is to empower a results-oriented, performance company. By performance, I mean they are at will. If they don't do their jobs, you fire them. Can't say that for the government side. To implore their resources to come in and help you. I've had nobody in this town say to you, sir, I've got your back. I've got your back. Bring these guys in. And there's plenty of documentation that people can look up the Clean Air Act. You can look up TSA, pipeline security. You can look up the threats to and one more thing. Okay, this is the last thing, and this is another person that I do this for. Everybody's saying, there's been no disaster in Edgewood. What are you talking about, Eugene? There's been no outside forces come in and change life. I miss Mike from Smith's. That's what I've just preached about is exactly what happened. You don't think his family eventually is going to look for an answer? They're going to be going to Kroger to see when he trained. Was he offered training? How often do they retrain for those situations? And where Kroger loses responsibility is that if Mike signed off that he trained, but if he didn't sign off, who's responsible? Those things out later. Politicians are losing a lot of their life. I've helped people in prison and out of prison. I dealt with Abu Ghraib. Colonel Pappas just got out of prison. General Petraeus lost his career over handing out a password. We're serious guys because we have a lot to lose. and we're there to protect you. I'm thinking of unretiring because there's some things going on in Artesia. There's gas down there. There's not TSA, there's Department of Homeland Security down there. I've been to Georgia to the federal school recently. I have a lot of resources.
A lot of experience,
Yes, ma'am.
knowledge, but can we get back to the
Yes.
issue?
I'm sorry. It's just, I care about some people, and I care about Mike.
You're a horrible cook.
Sir, I've spoke with you about the protection of Edgewood in the past and told you I'd help you in any way I could. I don't have the experience that you have, but I have a lot of time and I have a lot of get-go. By that I mean I have a lot of energy. Now, I don't know that what you just discussed is germane to what we've been discussing, but I do have something that sort of jibes with what you're saying. Edgewood 411. Edgewood 411. Some of you are familiar with it. How many of you are familiar with the suggestion that we get our guns and go down and shoot them? Anybody read that, heard that on 411? Maybe you ought to check it.
All right. On another topic, I was hoping that water rights could be addressed from EPCOR in the town, and just talking about how this would impact water rights and what is important and useful for our town in the future in relation to water rights.
Well, my name is Art Swanka, and I'm headed up the Ibra Water Group for many years, and I've now retired from that, and Ted Burrell is in charge of it. But my concern has always been that municipalities should have a 40-year water plan, and they should acquire the water rights, because not only municipalities, but member-owned utilities and some other ones can have water rights for 40 years and not forfeit them back to the state. A lot of the water rights entities, if you have the water rights, you only have 4 years to prove them up and use them, or the state takes them back. But that's not true with the municipalities and some of the water utilities. So with that said, if you buy the water rights today and hold them for 40 years, how much cheaper do you think they're going to be today than they will be 40 years from now? Plus the fact that you need to make sure that the water rights that you're acquiring are wet water rights and not just paper water rights, because there's a lot of water rights, not so much probably up here, but I know in Torrance County there's probably 125,000 acre feet of water rights that are passed by the state engineer, and the Estancia Basin is only using about 55,000 of those. The rest of them are paper water rights. So you need to be careful about when you're purchasing those. And I guess my only answer to you is, if you buy water rights today, you're going to pay what the market is and what the going market is. But it's certainly going to be cheaper than it is 10 years from now or 20 years from now, or however far out you want to go, because it is going to be more expensive. And, I think the town also could have a plan where any developer that wanted to develop a subdivision would have to bring the water rights with him. And that way your current residents wouldn't have to pay for that expansion. And I know that Moriarty started doing that, and I think Mountain Air has also. So there's no reason why that can't, and maybe you're already doing that, I don't know. You know, if you have 40 years worth of water, then the town ought to be publishing that, I would think, so that the residents know that they're being taken care of and that you've looked out for their benefit. Because, you know, it's pretty important when it comes to people that want to expand or go into business or do something. If they need to go get a loan, the people like to know there's going to be water here. And I think that's quite important. Other than that, that's about all I have.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you. You're talking about a 40-year planning period that municipalities are afforded. We also are afforded the same as a public utility, and we've had water rights that have come up for their period of beneficial use, and we go to the state engineer and we put that argument forward, and it's been approved. So we have water rights for set aside for 40 years and then some. So for the foreseeable future, we've got plenty for growth, and the way that works is if a new business or residents, well, residents we just hook up, but if a new business were to come into town or needed their approval for their business, they'll ask us for a letter for a will serve letter. We'll put a letter out that we will serve them, and we'll show that we got the water rights behind it. So I don't, Counselor, see that really affecting things. We got plenty of water for a long period of time.
Well, after you finish, okay. I'll make mine short and sweet. Edgewood has got a lot of things that are broken that need to be fixed. EPCOR is not one of them.
I'd like to make a request. Many of us have been here quite a while. I think the opportunity for us to speak up has been very, I hope, useful to the members of the council, to the mayor, and to the city employees. What I haven't heard is an explanation of why the city of Edgewood needs to condemn. What I've also not heard is what I believe to be the fact. My understanding of condemnation law is that if the city were to succeed in an eminent domain action, the liability to the prior owner would be an obligation of Edgewood. I do not believe it would be an obligation only of a water district of some sort. I'm on Entranosa. They've been very good to me, and I've appreciated their help. I'm sure EPCOR serves its people very well. I certainly haven't heard complaints. But I'd like some town meetings, or at least a town meeting, where the first item of agenda is not past history, is not the wastewater treatment plant or the water rights, but an explanation of the reasoning that leads to even considering condemnation. So my request, quite simply, is for another town meeting with more notice to the residents of Edgewood, to all of us, so that we can listen to that and then speak up. Thank you.
Just in answer to that, at our last council meeting or afterwards when we did discuss this topic, the mayor did read off some information with 8 or 9 reasons why it should be done that I remember jotting down. And Mayor, if you would share that, would be great.
May I interject while the mayor is looking? I'd still like another town meeting because many of us were not at that meeting and people have had to leave today.
There are 2 more in July already scheduled.
Not that
We don't know, like, how do we get notified? Do we give email addresses? How do we get notification? We don't know.
So, like for these 2, we also shared with the chamber. The chamber kind of helped put flyers out. We put them at all of our public posting places. We'll put the meeting times and locations. We'll put those up on our website as well. There is an alert system that you can sign up for with the town website, and you can request where you want, what topic you'd like it, to be pushed out, whether it be meetings. If there's something very specific, you could request that as well, and it'll send you notification.
So those reasons, and none of these are, dead on, but it was to allow the town to purchase and bank precious water rights, simplifies the billing process for the town's wastewater customers, one bill only, gives the town revenue producing side of the equation. This will allow the town to leverage water system to access capital for purposes of improving or expanding the wastewater system, allows the town to consolidate water and wastewater services in one location, which makes it convenient for developers, allows the town planning department to access water usage numbers so that they can better regulate development requests, allows the town to take control of its own destiny. Decisions regarding our future water supply will be made locally. Town ownership of the water company may allow for efforts to improve water quality, and town ownership of the water company may allow for treated wastewater to be re-injected into the aquifer and get return flow credits from the state engineer.
Thank you. I think it would be helpful if that could be posted too.
I agree.
I just wanted to thank you all for coming out.
I can't stay the rest of the day. I've got a 92-year-old I've got to get looking after, but I do appreciate y'all coming out. Hope you had a good time and learned a few things. I certainly did, and we'll try to do this again, maybe.
So also on that note, if you've had enough fun with this Water Fun Day, please bring your children over to the other Water Fun Day. I'm sure it'll be more entertaining for everyone. But no, we actually do have an event going on for the children, water slide, all that other good stuff. So it is out there. Thank you.
I